On this splendid morning, I am just thrilled to be alive, awake, alert, and enthusiastic. So I'm grateful to be here with you. When I came through the door, Cheryl and Barbara were like this. We made some changes in the service. And I said, oh good, let's go outside. And it has occurred to me we might want to have service outside one Sunday. Would you like that? Yeah. I think that would be very nice, yeah. Okay, we'll put that in the hopper, so to speak. All right, so we are now, my friends, as you know, headed toward Holy Week. We are in the final throes of Lent. Next week, next Sunday, is Palm Sunday, and that is Holy Week flowing into Easter Sunday. And of course, there's a lot prior to Easter Sunday. So for today, I thought this would be the good Sunday to speak to all of us, myself included, about feet to our prayers. And what does that mean? We are on the cusp of a major transformation, both as a community and as human beings, as we celebrate the crucifixion and the resurrection in us on a daily basis. And so for today, I thought, what do we mean by feet to the prayers? And that this would be a good Sunday to contemplate and reflect on exactly what that does mean. I remember a time when I thought feet to prayers meant get up. You know, get up and move your feet. Walk the talk. And now I have a different take on it, and I wanted to share that with you this morning because I believe that putting feet to prayers is a consciousness. And it's a consciousness that requires feet to prayers, to what we believe, to our truth, on a daily basis. It is not a spectacular showing of a major event. And for a long time, I actually thought that's what it meant. Because if you put feet to your prayers, well, then you were demonstrating who you are and what you believe, loudly. See, I wanted it to be loud, so that everyone would know that I knew my feet were walking, and I was walking my talk. And now I would say, let's contemplate making that difference of feet to prayers on a daily basis, in every choice that we make, in every thought that we have. And it takes practice, it takes persistence, and it takes a consciousness of understanding that when you put feet to your prayers, you are saying, this is what I believe. And I'm demonstrating through my acts, my words, and my thoughts and prayers, my truth. And I'm doing it on a regular basis. So that looks to me like when we talk about service. Very often folks will say, well, I put my feet to my prayers, I'm in service to so-and-so, or to such and such a thing, or I volunteer here. And I'm going to ask that you kick it up a notch and call it sacred service. When you're in sacred service, you're actually in a consciousness of service, and the ego is in service to the soul. Think about that. Everything that the ego does is in service to the soul, to the consciousness of God, of the Christ within. It is not, so often as we like to do, have our service be known. Have those feet pound proudly and loudly. No, I submit to you that living in the Spirit, the consciousness of feet to prayers, is making a difference on a day-to-day basis. Jesus understood this. And the difference was he modeled it. He did not need to speak it, although speak it he did. But he modeled it, he walked it. He put feet down. He put feet under his prayers. I read to you from an article that I've loved for many years, written by Dr. Kathy Callahan. And she says, knowledge of our oneness with God is not sufficient unto itself, however. For the readings which means the Bible, further tell us that we must also learn to express that knowledge in our daily lives, which is what I'm speaking about this morning. Jesus of Nazareth spoke of both dimensions of spiritual growth. The great spiritual teachers throughout history taught that our simple thoughts and ordinary actions present us with opportunities to make a difference. For the opportunity to make a difference manifests not only in the great acts of history, but in the ordinary moments of daily life. She goes on to use a metaphor that we've used in Unity, a metaphysical metaphor, if there is such a thing, having to do with the cross. And she talks about the double axis of the cross. And these thoughts are not new. The ancients also dealt with this, but I'll tell you how we deal with it in Unity and in New Thought. The cross is a double axis, the vertical beam being growing up and into consciousness, up and into God, if you will. And the cross, the horizontal beam, is growing in connection to one another. And at the heart of that is the Christ. So if that's something that you have not heard before, but it works for you, then put that in your arsenal, because what happens is when we start to connect and reach out to one another, we are literally coming up higher in consciousness. And that is the cross that we bear. And we bear it lovingly and willingly. So how do we reach out to connect with one another? One method is to love your neighbor as yourself. Oh, that's a method? I thought that was a commandment. Yes, it is a commandment. It was the second commandment. The first is love your God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. When we love each other as ourselves on a daily basis, we are connecting to a higher level of consciousness. And we are saying, I love my neighbor as I love myself. As I love myself, I love my neighbor. Sounds so very simple, but it is in that commandment, if you will, in that method, that understanding of loving one's neighbor as oneself, you are putting feet to your prayers on a daily basis. Now, we may say, I can do that. I try and do that all the time with my friends and family. Well, then let's, as we like to say, kick it up another notch. Do you do it with your enemies? Do you do it with the people that you don't like? Do you love them as you love yourself? Are you putting feet to what you said you believed? I said I believed that. I do love people as I love myself. Can you understand that when you have, quote unquote, an enemy, that is a prime, if not the opportunity for spiritual growth? It is a time to demonstrate, feet to prayers, what we believe. I love you as I love myself. Because what you're looking at most of the time when we look at our enemies, quote unquote, is a copy of yourself in some form. You are what we call meeting yourself. You look at this person, and sometimes we can be outraged at their behavior or what they say. Turn the TV on. I can't stand that. That's not right. That just is not so. I will not accept that. Who do they think they are? Well, we've suddenly put the feet in the shoes in the closet when we go to that. The prayers take a back seat. And we miss the opportunity to actually look at what is meeting us face to face, and at the opportunity, if you will, to practice loving one's neighbor as oneself. All neighbors. And I know it can be difficult. We say, well, I'm not loving all neighbors like I love myself. Exactly my point. Yes. Say that one again to yourself. It's difficult sometimes, if not incredibly challenging, to find what it is we are supposed to learn from meeting ourselves coming and going. And how are we to put that into the cross of our being, into the hopper of what we say we believe, our prayers, our truth. So we will look at this in one other way, besides just learning from enemies and meeting oneself. I believe that when you are able to love your neighbor as yourself and to love God with all your heart and your mind and your soul, it is in those prayers and in keeping those prayers you are making a difference in the world. Truly making a difference by the way we think, by the way we act based on the way we think. We look for things to do, if you will. This concept is not a doing concept, and so for so long I thought that it was. Literally, I could see little feet under my prayers, going places. I was making a difference. I was serving here. I was being a good girl. It's in the thinking, and it's in the prayers. It's in the consciousness of I am connected to all, and I am ever evolving in my spiritual growth. And that is the way I live my life. That is my consciousness. That is how I make a difference one day, one act, one spoken word at a time. Because I function in that, I'll call it cross consciousness. It is something for us to please think about as we move into the whole Easter, Palm Sunday, crucifixion, resurrection time. It is a way of being in life. And I wanted to put that challenge to you. Are you being that way in life? Are you modeling? Are you putting feet slowly in every ordinary expression? Because it is in the ordinary that we find the extraordinary. It is in that consistent, persistent, walking the talk, feet to the prayers, understanding what is our truth, and practicing it on a regular basis. I've had people say to me, "Oh, you gotta be kidding. I don't think I want to do that on a regular basis. That takes a lot of work." Yes, it does. It does take work. It's spiritual work. It's our work. And we can make a difference. Kathy says, Dr. Callahan, excuse me, each one of us through our daily thoughts and actions can either impede humanity's spiritual awakening or serve as a catalyst for spiritual transformation. Our destiny is upon us. Let us therefore live in the Spirit for the betterment of ourselves and all humanity.